All praises, all honor, all glory be unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutation to Allah Akim doing and pushing his word in sincerity and truth worldwide, and a sincere shalom to the elect. Now I want to get into this lesson, Gazingstock, okay? You know, we're made as a Gazingstock to this world, man. These people hold us in contempt, you know, they think we're worthless, and, you know, all that comes, you know, with the hate against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So they think that they're on top, you know, and we're as, you know, the worst things ever, you know, like that dirty, dirty dog shit at the bottom of your shoe or something, okay? The dirty dog shit has more value in their eyes than us, all right? So at the end of the year, day and week, we know what it is, you know, we know we got that, like I labeled it, no matter how hard it rains, we got to withstand that pain, okay? You're going to, you know, in your own household, you're going to receive scoffing, scorning, you know. Your kids might look at you as worthless, you know, your woman, your sister, brother, father, mother, aunt, whoever, uncle, they might look at you and be like, oh, man, to hell with this guy, man, you know. But hey, this is what the scriptures speak about, us becoming a Gazingstock, okay, and a byword, a proverb to these people here in the world, because they're not of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. We are, okay? So let's go into this real quick here. Gazingstock, okay? We're going to go into the meaning here. A couple meanings of a couple words here. Gazingstock means an object, person, or event that is stared at or watched by many people, often with curiosity, contempt, we're going to go into that word, or admiration. It's essentially sometimes that something that attracts attention, sometimes unwanted, and becomes a spectacle. The term can be used in a religious context, describing someone who is subject to ridicule or scorn. And that's what we're subject to, ridicule and scorn, you know, even of our own household, all right? But these are things that we have to withstand, all right? Just like I said, no matter how hard it rains, withstand the pain, all right? So that's exactly what we're doing. We're standing 10 toes down, because we know in this world, you know, this message is not loved by the whole world, right? And the ones that, you know, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, you know, they deem this as, you know, going against the system, going against the grain. So they don't like it, okay? So let's get into that word, content, okay? Content. Open disregard or disobedience of authority, the law, etc. The general sense of acting in the general sense of act of despising, scorn for what is mean, vile, or worthless, okay? Goes in direct Latin, scorn, past tense, to scorn, to despise, okay? And this is what they do. They scorn us, they despise us, they hate us, okay? Let's go into, let's go here. The feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn. That's exactly how they look upon us, okay? These niggas here, who the hell they think they're talking to, you know? You're slaves, you shouldn't be talking like this, you know, put away that Bible stuff, you know? And 2/3 of our people, yeah, why can't you just get along with everybody, you know? Oh, you say Esau's the so-called white man and this and that and blah, blah, blah. You know, just being jerks, you know, going against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? That's exactly what they're doing. So let's get into this. The feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn, okay? And that's exactly, like I said, how they look upon us, okay? like we're worthless, okay? But they don't know. Let me get into this scripture right here. 2 Peter chapter 2 and 10. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh, in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government, presumptuous are they, self-willed, they are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Okay? And that's from our apostle elders on down. You have individuals out there that are not afraid to run the yap about the apostle elders, men that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai gave the word onto, okay? So we may go and search for the elect, right? They've been given work to do from the highest, and they've been doing that work. They haven't, vacation time, they've always been on point, okay? And not only always been on point, the 100% truth, they're not switching up nothing, not being biased, right? They're following the scriptures to a T, right? So you have individuals out there that are not afraid to speak ill and evil of the ones that the Lord set up in charge, the ones that are according to the Lord's mind, okay? Because the Lord said, I'll give you pastors according to my heart that shall feed you. And when you go into that word heart, it goes into mind, okay? Let's go into this word dignity, a state of being worthy, right? And remember when we went back here, it says that, the feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn. Okay? Dignity, the state of being worthy. And they don't see that the apostle elders, are dignities. They don't recognize them as that, right? They just see them as, these are some regular old niggas, right? So, these men here, who the hell are they? Who they think they are, And, the rest of the brothers too as well, okay? The elders, the bishops, whatnot, right? The other brothers, they all speak of us in an ill matter, okay? But chiefly starting with our apostle elders on down, right? So going back into this, a state of being worthy, dignity, privilege, honor, Latin, dignitas, worthiness, worthy, proper fitting, an elevated office, honorable place, or elevated rank, okay? And the Lord is the one that giveth the increase, right? So continuing back with this, they're not afraid to speak evil of those men in that position that they're in. Talking about the apostle elders, right? And on down, right? They're not afraid to speak ill of people such as our apostle elders or us, or, you know what I mean? So they look at us as being, unworthy, okay? Because this world is against the ways of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, okay? It tells you in Proverbs chapter 29:27, we're going this way and they're going that way, okay? They're abomination unto us and we are abomination unto them, okay? So let's get into these scriptures here. So we were made a Gazingstock. No matter how hard it rains, withstand the pain, okay? We were made a Gazingstock to the whole world, all right? These other nations and, Ezekiel 5:15. So it shall be a reproach and a taunt, an instrument, an instrument and an astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee, when I shall execute judgments in thee in anger and in fury and in furious rebukes. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, okay? An astonishment. Okay, and that's what we are to these other nations. It even tells us in Lamentations as well. Lamentations chapter 2 and 15. All that passed by clapped their hands at thee. They hissed and wagged their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city that men call, Salakia, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All her enemies have opened their mouth against thee. Okay? They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, We have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we looked for. We have found. We have seen it. Yeah, us being on the bottom. Okay? Us being, at the bottom. Okay? So let me see something else here. Verse 17, Yahweh have done that which he had devised. He have fulfilled his word that he have commanded in the days of old. He have thrown down and have not pitied, and he have caused thine enemies to rejoice over thee. He have set up the horn of thine adversary. Okay? So yeah, all our enemies are trampling upon us, calling us different names, you niggas, you spicks, you wetbacks, this and that. All the worst jobs in the world, we have them, okay? And where everybody's, laughing point, okay? Us as a people, but us in the truth especially, they completely despise us, okay? As a people, yes, but us, they completely despise us, man, okay? The ones that are out there in the garments, out in the corners, speaking the word, oh, yes, us, they completely despise us, okay? So as a people, yeah, they all hate us in the world, but within that people that is hated within the world, the men of the Lord are the most hated, okay? Like they say, America's most wanted, right? Because if 2/3 Jakes, if they bow down, kiss ass and all that stuff, they get the crumbs, and Esau don't even, he lets them do a little bit here and there, as long as they kiss ass and they stay in line, and all that other bullshit, right? Butt breaking and consistently uphold their agenda, don't say nothing, you know what I mean? Promote more of my wickedness, bring more of your people in to my wickedness, and then they get I wouldn't even say easy ride, but then they get to ride on the back of the train, Then they get to ride on the back of the train with doors open, with the cows, with the cows and the sheep and the shit, okay? And Jake likes that too. He's a homeborn slave, man. He likes being a homeborn slave, okay? But going back into being made a Gazingstock onto the world, okay? Let's go back into this. Proverbs chapter, like I said, we're one way and they're totally the other way, okay? This is why we're being made a Gazingstock, right? Being looked at as something that's worthless because they're the ones who are in power right now. Proverbs chapter 29 and 27. An unjust man is an abomination to the just. An unjust man is an abomination to the just. So that means all these people in the world, even 2/3 of our people, you're not trying to follow the righteous path. You're an abomination in our eyes, okay? You want to eat that swine, that pork, when in Rome, do as you please, that type of mentality. An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked, okay? Oh, Slacky, an unjust man is an abomination to the just. So yeah, these people in the world, 2/3, right? They're an abomination to us because of all the wickedness that they're doing against Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? They stack iniquity upon iniquity. And us, being the upright, to them in their eyes, we're an abomination, okay? So going back into this, why is this so? Because Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, okay? So right now, the wicked is pushing his agenda. So his agenda seems nice and sweet and, You know what I mean? To the rest of the world, it's, oh yeah, this is the way we should live, you know? Well, why not can't I eat pork? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? You know? Esau says I can do it. Seems like you guys are the devil, you know? That's how he has people's mindset. When people hear us speaking, people in the world, they hear us speaking, they go, no, man, you guys are the devil, man. That's how bad that Esau has it on their mind, okay? Has their minds captivated with his ways. So that's why it seems like, to the unjust, that we're an abomination, okay? That's why it seems like that, because Esau has their mind totally fucking backwards, man. Because remember, he's in power. He's pushing forth his agenda, okay? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 10. And these things we just have to endure on to the end, man. And Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to reward us, okay? Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 32. But call to remembrance the former days, in which, after ye were illuminated, ye endured a great fight of affliction. That we're going through a great fight of affliction right now, okay? That's why the Lord said that he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved, right? Because all these things right now, we're going against the grain. We're going against the norm of society. And the norm of society is wickedness. The norm of society is YOLO spirit. The norm of society is anti-Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, right? So, of course, we're going to be catching afflictions, man. Because these people are anti-Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. They're not for righteousness, okay? So we're going to go through a ton of shit here because the world is against us. There's plenty more of them in the world than us, okay? Partly, whilst ye were made a gazing stock, both by reproaches and afflictions, and partly, whilst ye became companions of them that were so used, okay? So we were made a gazing stock, all right? So these people, when you go back into the word gazing stock, an object, a person, or event that is stared at or watched by many people. When we're out there on the highways and byways, many people, thousands, will see us in a day, okay? If not hundreds, all right? So if not hundreds, thousands, and if not thousands, hundreds, all right? Will see us in a day out on the highways and byways. This is why the street ministry is so important, because we're not out there to, for eye service, okay? But if 100 people will pass by you and none of them stopped and inquired, well, 100 of those people are condemned. 1,000 people pass by, they don't stop. They're condemned too. You should have stopped. You should have heard. I'm talking about to Jake's, right? So now, when we're out there on the highways and byways and you got about 1,000 people that pass by in cars, you probably have 30%, 40% of Jake, depending on the neighborhood that you're in, that pass by, right? Or even 60% of that number. So when we're out there on the highways and byways, nobody has an excuse, man. You can't say, oh, we never noticed those guys, and we never, no. We were there. Many weeks, many weekends, you pass by that same spot. You're like, this guy again, Seek the Lord now before, that destruction cometh. But going back into, what I was saying, thousands of people see us out there, whereas some kind of, as the scriptures say here, or Slakia, a Gazingstock, an object, person, or event that is stared at or watched by many people, often with curiosity, contempt, and we went into the word content, right? They regard us as worthless, man. You know, something that's deserving of scorning, right? So, a spectacle, being made a spectacle, subject to ridicule or scorn. And that's what we are when we're out there. We're subject to ridicule and scorn and being made a spectacle, all in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We are fools unto Yahweh Shem, for Yahweh Shem Yahushai's sake, man. To hell with this world. Hey, man. It tells you that this affliction that we're going through is but for a moment, okay? So continuing. Let me get back into this. Continuing here. Wisdom of Solomon. I didn't want to make this too long, but hey, sometimes you just, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and 1. Then shall a righteous man stand in great boldness before the faces of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Okay? So right now we're standing in the faces of our oppressors, man. And we're shaking the hand, as the scriptures say, that may enter into the gates of the noble. All right? It's telling them off. The scriptures tell you that we're reading the charges. We're listing all the Lord's charges against Esau, Edom, and all the wicked. Okay? So there's no excuse. You can't say Romans chapter 10 and 18. There's no excuse. Our sound went into all the earth. Okay? So there's no goddamn excuse at the end of your day and week. All right? But we're standing in boldness out there on the highways and byways. We're not going out there with no guns, knives and bats and stuff like that. We're going out there in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Lord didn't give us a spirit of bondage, but the spirit, how do you say it? The spirit of bondage to this. He gave us the spirit of boldness. I can't remember that scripture, Salakia. But yeah, he didn't give us no fearful spirit. He gave us a bold spirit. And all we're doing is going out there and speaking these words onto the whole congregation, okay? And, if the elect happen to be among them, then they get drawn in, okay? But, at the end of the year, day and week, this is our job, man. This is why we gotta stand so, strong, right? For the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Deuteronomy chapter 28. This is something that you got to go through when you're in this truth, man. It's not going to be easy walk, but guess what? We have the brotherhood. We have brothers, okay? We have each other. And I had made mention to a brother on the app. I said, yeah, all we got is Yahweh Shem Yahushai and us. We all we got, okay? You might think, yeah, my wife, and near the end of the year, day and week, she changed her mind, opts out. Okay, I can't take this no more. I gotta, go in the world, right? Because they start itching. I gotta go in the world. I gotta, they didn't count the cost. You counted the cost, right? But just because they're your family per se, that doesn't mean that they're going to be in the truth. You have a son. Your son's growing up. You're speaking to him about Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? That's about all you can do. Raise him with the balance, that Yahweh Shem Yahushai has given you, with the instruction, right? Bring him up right, raise up a child right? Discipline. That's all you can do. You can't force it down his throat. And at the end of your day and week, it's the Most High that made that decision. Hey, your father, you being the father, right? Okay, he has four sons, 2 daughters, And none of them is going to be in the truth. They're all going to reject it. Okay? It happens. You know? This is something that you're going to have to go through. I'm looking and I see my kids and I go, I wish, you know what I mean, they would be involved in the truth. You know what I mean? They get the lessons, they get the understanding. But at the same time, you got to put in work. Hey, what can I say? At the end of the day and week, the Lord is looking for his elect. Okay? And if they're not fucking part of the elect, that's it. What the fuck can I do? Okay? Weep, cry, and go crazy? No. I fully understand what's going on. Okay? So anyways, going back in this, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 36, Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt, Slakia, Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Salakia Yahweh shall lead thee. And that's what happened, man. These bywords and proverbs that they put upon us, calling us niggers, Negroes, blacks, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm a Jamaican, I'm a Bayesian, I'm a fucking Trinidadian, I'm a Grenadian, I'm a Guyanese, All these ad-libs that they throw on us, Jake out there calling themselves white, man. And is proud of it too. Got songs, I'm a Jamaican. You remember that one? That song there. All the brothers who don't know, you know what I'm saying? So here it is, you got Jake, being proud of these bywords and proverbs, when really those things are an insult to us, okay? Who we are is Israelites, okay? Yashra'Allah, he Prince of the Power, man. Don't you feel good saying that? Or you feel better saying, no, I is a Trini, right? I is a Trini by, I don't know what you talking about, I is a Israelite, I is a Trini by, right? So that's Jake in a nut, 2/3 Jake in a nutshell, okay? They love the bywords, right? They love that attention. I is a Trini boy. I go Caribbean and them thing they represent for Trinidad boy, right? They love that. They're infatuated with it, immersed in it, baptized in it, immersed in it, right? But we know that, hey, those things are an insult onto us, okay? Those bywords, those proverbs, okay? Those are an insult onto us. Those are something to, embrace, okay? What you should be doing is embracing who you really are, who's a Hebrew Israelite, okay? So let's go to some real quick. 1 Corinthians 1:25. Where's that? 1 Corinthians chapter 1:25. Suck, yeah. Let's go to 25. 1 Corinthians 1:25. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that many wise men after the flesh, Slakia. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called, okay? But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, okay? So, hey, you see that this, to them, is foolishness, okay? But the Lord just told you right there that, the foolish things of the world will confound the wise, meaning us being out there. To them, we look foolish, right? Being in these garments and standing on the block and, speaking, doing what we're doing and how we look. To them, it looks foolish, right? But in the eyes of the Lord, we're mightier than them. We're stronger than them. Okay? We stand for something. They don't. They stand for foolishness, really. Okay? They stand for folly. And at the end of the year, at the end of the week, the Lord is going to give us our reward for, going through all of that ridicule. Going through all of that, oppression. Okay? And standing 10 toes down. You know what I mean? Not giving a shit what these people in the world gotta think. Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived, for Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So all these guys out here, when they're running their mouth about us, talking shit, doing little sneaky things behind our backs to us, all of that, you're sowing right now. And you're going to get it back because just like we read in Hebrews chapter 10, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, okay? 10-31, right? It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. So as long as we remain, faithful servants and don't extend our hand, let the Lord deal with these fools, man. Because we went through, being made a spectacle, ridicule, scoffing and scorning, from even your own household, your own wife, you know what I mean? Who knows? Your wife might be on the phone laughing it up with another woman, oh, you look so stupid, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Oh, when you going to leave him, you know what I mean? I'm going to leave him next year. I'm going to give him a little time to get rid of this Hebrew Israelite stuff, All this shit that we got to go through, you know what I mean? And at the end of the year, day and week, the Lord is going to reward us because, they mock the prophets until the Lord rolls up and destroy their ass, man. Okay? And that's a, type of attitude that we have to have. The Lord is for us. Okay? Don't worry about these jackasses. They're going to run around. They're going to do hurtful things to us. But guess what? All of that, they're sowing. Okay? And they're going to reap what they sowed. Second Chronicles chapter 36, starting from the 14th verse. Moreover, all the chief priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of Yahweh, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem. And Yahweh power of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up early betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of Yahweh and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of Yahweh arose against his people till there was no remedy. And that's what's going to happen to you fools, all right? You guys want to, despise dignity. You want to talk shit about us, starting with our apostle elders on down, right? You want to do all of that. Well, guess what? The Lord is looking at it and saying, hey, man, I gave you a chance, I basically gave you a chance. I sent my servants, and you despised them. You made fun of them. You mocked them, ridiculed them, scoffed, laughed at them. Well, here's your damage. You've been sowing that. I got to give you what you deserve, man. You know what I mean? And that's that. That's exactly, the remedy for them, okay? This is why when the time rises up where the Lord's going to make whoop ass on this place, just like in the time of Noah, they're partying, giving into marriage and all that stuff, and then boom, next day you didn't hear shit the next day. Noah was in in the ark, sleeping, you know what I'm saying? Floating along, you know what I'm saying? And that was that, man. That's how the Lord's going to move. All right? For those who know, they know, which is us. This is why we're giving you the warning before the shit goes down. But you know how Jake is. I always want to laugh. I always want to make a parody. Well, make a parody when your fucking ass is getting burnt alive, man. You know? Where you're seeing your own dear mama, right? Getting eaten alive by a bear or some shit. Okay? Because the events that are about to take place here it's not gonna be nice. It's not gonna be funny. No. It's not gonna be nice. What was that? Ezra that said that? He goes, woe is me, woe is me. Who shall deliver me? Some prophets fell sick, threw up. So you guys think you're such tough guys and all this stuff? Well, okay. When the Lord makes his move, we ain't gonna be there around you to say, I told you so. We're not gonna be out there on the highways and byways laughing at you and going, I told you so. Didn't I tell you nukes were gonna come? Like, no, nigga. We're giving you the warning now. Okay? Second, Ezekiel chapter 2 and verse 4. For they are impudent children. Slakia. What's going on here? For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Yahweh power. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there had been a prophet among them. And that's going to be too late. That's going to be the game over time, That's going to be, you running around, your hair is on fire and shit, dogs are chasing you and shit, or lions are chasing you, hyenas, a group of men, whatever the fuck it is, okay? Great fucking calamity, perilous times, evil, bad times, man, okay? I don't know how much fucking times we gotta say it, but, hey, we withstand all your bullshit, okay? As it says, no matter how hard it rains, withstand the pain. And that's what we, Lord will, on to the end, will be doing, man, okay? We're doing it right now, where you people of the world are laughing at us, byword, proverb, these things were written about to happen to us. But at the same time, you gotta stand 10 tones down, man. Okay? You gotta stand 10 tones down, man. Because at the end of your day and week, the Lord has a reward for you. If you stand 10 toes down. If you don't stand 10 toes down, then, you get weak and want to go back into the world and whatnot. Hey, there's no reward for you, okay? But destruction. So, hey, with that, all praises, all honor, all glory be unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutation to Allah Akim doing and pushing his word in sincerity and truth worldwide, and a sincere shalom to the elect. I hope you're edified. Lord willing, to the next time. Wach abad babal. Shalom Akim.